Some of the language used by Republicans in the abortion debate,
late-term abortion,
an unborn child's heart begins beating.
Elective abortions on demand,
is medically inaccurate. And actually, when words are misused, they may reveal political motivations. Take late-term abortion.
The term late-term abortion is wrong and it's confusing. And the reason for that is that late term actually refers to a very specific point in pregnancy. It refers to the time between 41 weeks and 41 weeks and 6 days. And abortions are just not happening during that time.
You support late-term abortion?
I support all people and trust.
That means late-term abortion.
There are limits to how late into a pregnancy someone can receive an abortion.
The bill would legalize abortion up until the moment of birth.
The majority of abortions happen before 14 weeks, around 90% of them. And then we know that after 21 weeks, less than 1% of abortions are happening. The term that we prefer is abortion later in pregnancy. And the reason for that is it is a little bit clearer about the abortions that are happening after the first trimester or in the later second trimester. And it isn't referring to a very specific point in time when abortions absolutely are not happening.
Late-term abortion is a phrase that's especially irrelevant for states imposing 6-week abortion bans, also known as heartbeat bans.
The Texas heartbeat bill is now law in the Lone Star State.
The key word here is heartbeat.
This is a time where these babies have beating hearts.
Several conservative states have imposed so-called heartbeat legislation banning abortion on the grounds that a fetus has an audible beating heart, except for the fact that
scientifically, it's not actually a heartbeat. We refer to it as fetal or gestational cardiac activity. We know that the sound that you're hearing early in the first trimester is actually from the ultrasound, because the valves and the parts of the actual structure of the heart are not formed yet. There is some suggestion that this is when the embryo or the fetus might be viable. That's without a doubt scientifically untrue. Cardiac formation and in embryology is an extremely complex process that actually continues all the way through the process of birth.
this is all blanketed by the concept of elective abortions. In fact, the term elective abortion appears in the leaked Supreme Court draft opinion that would overturn Roe v. Wade.
So the term elective is something that we do use in medicine on a fairly regular basis. However, it often refers to something that isn't immediately medically necessary. The problem with that as it applies to abortion is that we know that every abortion is a needed abortion. If somebody is making the decision, the thoughtful decision to seek one, we know that they're doing so because they need an abortion, which means that it is a medically necessary abortion.
The words we use to talk about abortion add an emotional element to the debate, which shapes the way we think about the procedure and, in turn, how we legislate it.
Abortion is really an essential part of healthcare in the way that anything else that you would go to see a doctor for is essential healthcare. And so when we have politicians, when we have people who are operating on ideology rather than science and medicine and healthcare, using language that is not only inaccurate, but also potentially upsetting to patients and to people who are seeking it, it's stigmatizing and it definitely is confusing. We want to make sure that abortion is being talked about in the context in which it belongs, in medicine, in healthcare, and in science.